Chris Sewell here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, in that order. Welcome everyone. Going to be going over COMC today. They're a growing company in the card world, already a pretty big player, and I think they're going to continue to grow. I use their site heavily to both buy and sell, and they've really become a critical part of my business recently. They've got a couple of issues for sure. I'll definitely mention them here as well. But overall, a really great option for both collectors and dealers. I'll do the quick disclaimer thing. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I don't really know anybody that well who works there, and I'm not benefiting in any way by promoting them. I mean, I guess in theory, as someone who uses the site heavily, it benefits me to have more people involved. But that's really not the motivation for this video. But okay, disclaimer out of the way. COMC stands for Check Out My Cards. Their website is simply comc.com. I'll break this video into 4 sections: general overview, buying, selling, and flipping. So let's start with the general overview. COMC has a different model than companies that came before it. There are a couple of websites popping up now that are trying to do something somewhat similar, but COMC is the biggest. The big difference is, in order to sell a card on COMC, it has to physically be in their warehouse, meaning you have to ship them their cards before they will list it on their website. This is very different, obviously, than eBay or Beckett Marketplace or other sites. This turns a lot of people off, makes people very uncomfortable, which is totally understandable. I myself am someone who really wants, the cards in my possession at all times. I want to have full control over a transaction. So I was very hesitant to sign up for this exact reason. But this comes with tremendous benefits, which are really hard to see unless you've sort of been through the process and experienced a little bit. I'll go over those in details in a bit. But for now, just understand the process works like this. You ship them a box of cards that you want to sell. They only sell singles, so no sets or lots. They list all the singles on their website and store the cards in their warehouse. If someone buys a card from you, the money instantly goes into your COMC account, which you can cash out at any time. The card physically stays in the warehouse, but ownership of the card switches over to the buyer, and it stays in the warehouse until the buyer requests to have some of their cards shipped back to them, which they can also do at any time. Signing up is free, no membership fees. You can join at any time. If you want to make a purchase, you either need to deposit money into your account or sell a card, in which case you can then use the money from the sale to purchase other cards if you wish. This is what the homepage looks like. This is my personal homepage. I can see my current COMC credit on the right, about $2,000 at the moment. I can see my most recent sales and my most recent purchases. Over on the right are my stats, how many cards I have for sale, etc. And it keeps full records of everything. So I can at any time look over every purchase I've ever made or every sale I've ever made, any shipments I've requested, whatever. Buying on COMC comes with a huge advantage, especially for lower dollar cards. And that is that shipping charges are basically eliminated. Because all the cards are stored in one central warehouse, you can sort of wait until you have a number of cards in your account, assuming you're not in a hurry. Have them all shipped back to you in one package, and shipping is super combined and costs are basically minimal. I currently have 477 cards in my account that I've purchased over the last, month or so. I may list some for sale at some point, but let's say I plan to have them all shipped back to me today. If I request a shipment today, I can have them all shipped to me in one package for as little as $11, but basically 2 cents per card. Imagine buying 477 singles online on any website, eBay, whatever. The shipping charges would just be a killer, hundreds of dollars, maybe over $1,000. Here it's basically neutralized. COMC is set up specifically for trading cards. They do have all sorts of trading cards, gaming, non-sports, etc. Although sports cards is the main thing. And because of that, the search filters are designed specifically for cards, and this makes searching much more efficient than say, eBay. Let's say we want to look at Juan Soto cards. Start by typing in Juan Soto into the search. There are 929 Juan Soto listings. Many of the listings have multiple copies of the card, in some cases dozens or even more, so there are thousands of Soto cards available on the site. You can sort the listings by oldest or newest or most expensive or least expensive or whatever. If you're looking for something more specific, over here on the left, you can filter them out in any number of ways. You can filter out just autographs or just jerseys or just serial numbered cards or rookie cards and all sorts of other options. You can also filter just for graded cards or ungraded cards. And there are a bunch of other filter options which wouldn't really apply to this particular search, but they do for others. Let's say I'm looking for rookie year cards of Soto. Well, I click that filter, and now there are 263 listings, all from 2018, his rookie year card. And I only want, let's say, ungraded, so I click that filter as well. So now we're looking at 144 listings. And you can scroll through these. You'll see multiples at times because sometimes there are cards of different grades. For example, his Bowman Prospects card, number 52. The first listing is in EX to near mint condition. The next listing has a condition note. The note is that the card has corner wear. And then there's a listing without any statement about condition, which means the card is near mint or better. And look at this, there are 125 copies of the card available on COMC at the moment. You can see you can get the card for as little as $1.99. There's dozens available in the $2 range, and they go up to $7.99 for the most expensive. On any card, you can click on the image, and that is the exact card you'll receive. So you can inspect the condition for yourself. They provide high-res images of both the front and the back of every single card. No stock images whatsoever. Another huge advantage over Beckett Marketplace and often eBay, for that matter. You can buy the card outright, or you can make an offer on the card. If you submit an offer, it works just like eBay. It sometimes will auto-accept, it sometimes will auto-decline, and sometimes the offer will go to the seller to consider. He's got a couple days to accept or reject or counter. I'll go ahead and buy one of these Sotos. I simply click Buy Now, and it takes me to this page. I then select Purchase Now, and the card is officially mine. If I go back to my home page, I can now see instantly that I've made that purchase. And I can now choose to include it in my next shipment, or I can relist it on COMC, or I can just leave it in my account and decide what to do with it later. I'll run through one more example. Let's say I want to buy some 1975 Topps Baseball Hall of Famers. I type 1975 Topps into the search. I can scroll down to filter out only baseball. And I only want players in the Hall of Fame, so I can choose that option up here in the upper left. And because we're dealing with vintage, there are a lot of options because of so many different conditions that are relevant. You can see there are 15 different Hank Aaron listings, all different conditions. There's a poor, there's good, there's a couple of PSA graded copies. So let's say we want the card in good to VGX condition. There are 18 copies available of the card in that condition, ranging from $1.49 up to $18.25. Heads up, this is one of the clear issues with COMC. They are not at all accurate when it comes to grading vintage. They can be wildly off, so make sure you use the high-res pictures to inspect for yourself before buying a card. I've seen them drastically overgrade and drastically undergrade vintage cards, so just be aware. With modern cards, I really haven't experienced any condition issues. When I first started on COMC, I was using them to sell cards $1 and up, but they've recently raised their rates a little bit, and now selling a card for $1 is not really worth it anymore. I'd say at the moment they're most ideal for selling cards about $2 to $10 or so. I personally sell many of my cards in the $1.50 up to about $20 range maybe, but sometimes higher as well. Here's how the selling process works. You ship them your cards and choose which processing speed you want. The current cheapest option is 3 weeks processing, and it costs 50 cents per card. That does mean you have to front 50 cents per card before they will list it. And that's a fixed cost. You do not get that back. After, in this case, 3 weeks, the cards will get posted to the site. This sort of trickles in over the course of the 3 weeks. It doesn't happen all at once. As your cards get added, you will get a notice saying cards are ready for sale. In my case here, I have a few orders waiting to get processed, and at the moment 24 cards have recently been processed and need my attention. I only have to do one thing in order to have it live for sale, and that is set the price. I can set whatever price I want. Here are the cards that currently need my attention. If we take a look at the first one, 2015 Topps Chrome Tom Brady. They didn't give it a condition note, so it's near mint or better. They do offer a suggested retail price, but I basically don't use that, and I wouldn't really recommend anyone use it, as it's often wildly off. What is very useful is they show you how many copies of the card are currently for sale on COMC and what the price range is. In this case, there are 22 copies of the card, ranging from $4 up to $10. This is really useful in telling me what sort of price I should set. If I want to be aggressive and sell the card faster, maybe I'd choose $3.50, which would make mine the cheapest copy on COMC and therefore the most likely to be purchased. If I'm in no hurry, or I think maybe the card's going to go up or whatever, maybe I'll price it high, let's say $10, and hope it eventually sells at that. Or any price in between, or anything you want. For this example, I'll set the price at $5. They automatically add 25 cents to the listing for shipping. This only happens one time with each individual card, so if someone else were to buy this card and relist it for sale, there would be no 25-cent add-on that time. But here, the buyer will see the sale price at $5.25. So okay, I've now set the price, and I click Save, and the card is now live on their site. We can click on the Tom Brady's and see the copies available. And there is mine for $5.25. I can at any time go in and adjust the price if I feel it needs to be raised or lowered for any reason. Going back to my cards for sale that need pricing, I can fly through these anytime I want. Again, all I have to do is set the price and they are instantly live. This is an incredibly valuable feature of COMC, especially if you deal in any sort of bulk. Just think of the steps required to list and sell a card on eBay or other websites. You must take a photo or scan of the card front. You need to take a photo or scan of the card back. This is often skipped because it's just not worth the time. You need to create a listing. You need to enter the title of the card. It's very important not to make spelling mistakes for search purposes. You have to enter a description of the card. This can be short. Sometimes it needs to be longer. I got to grade the card. Sometimes this requires a detailed explanation. You got to choose other options, shipping costs, payment options, return policies, etc. And you have to set the price. When you sell the card, you have to confirm you received payment. You then got to package the card up for shipment. We all know how big a pain that can be. You got to make sure you have all your supplies available: sleeves, top loaders, envelopes, labels, etc. You got to buy postage and ship the card. You have to deal with occasional returns, deal with occasional scammers, deal with post office issues. Sometimes there's just random delays, which leads to unhappy customers. And you also have to constantly deal with customer service, people emailing you questions about condition or combined shipping options, etc. With COMC, you don't have to do any of these things except for one: choose the price. Everything else is 100% taken care of for you. This is a tremendous value, especially, like I said, if you deal in any sort of bulk. And when one of your cards sells, you are immediately credited into your account. No waiting time, the money hits your account instantly. So what are the fees for selling on COMC? Well, they are significant, but not a lot more than other sites. The 50 cents per card up front hurts and is high. In addition, you pay 5% of any sale. That's, of course, very reasonable. You can see here I sold this Deuce Staley card for $9, minus 5%, meaning I received $8.55. And that's really it, with one additional caveat. If you ever want to withdraw your store credit, there is a 10% cash out fee. If you don't withdraw your funds and you leave it in your account to buy other cards, there's no fee, so you can avoid it that way. I personally use a lot of it to buy other cards, not to avoid the fee, but because I find a lot of deals on COMC. I do sometimes withdraw, and I'm hit with the 10% cash out fee, which hurts a bit. So the true cost to sell a card on COMC, if you want to pull out the funds, is 50 cents per card plus 15% of the sale. Again, the 15% could be as low as 5% if you use the money to buy other cards on the site. 50 cents plus 15% may feel high, but it's very similar to eBay. Let's look at the end result of a $5 sale on 4 different platforms. On COMC, to sell a card for $5, the buyer will pay $5.25. Let's assume they will have another 10 cents worth of shipping down the road for a total cost to them of $5.35. The seller will receive the 5 minus 50 cents up front, minus another 5% for a total of $4.25 after all is said and done. If they choose to withdraw that money eventually, they will pay an additional 10% of 42 cents. On eBay, to sell that $5 card, the buyer will pay $5 plus, let's say, $3 shipping, plus maybe 50 cents in sales tax for a total of $8.50. Depending on what level of eBay store the seller has, they will probably pay about 15% in fees or 75 cents and receive $4.25. Because the buyer has to spend $8.50 for a $5 card, it's far less likely to sell and far more likely to just simply sit in your eBay store for much longer. On Beckett Marketplace, the buyer will again pay $5 plus, let's say, $3 in shipping for a total of $8. Same thing here, more likely to just sit there than sell because paying $8 for a $5 card is not something people want to do. The seller will pay slightly less in fees for the transaction, but there are massive upfront costs to sell on their platform. It wavers dealer to dealer based on how many transactions you have each month, but I sold on Beckett for about 3 years, and on average my fees were 19% of my sales. Let's use that number, so in this case the seller will receive $4.05. On Sport Lots, the buyer will pay $5. Shipping costs vary heavily from seller to seller, but let's say on average will be about $1 for a total of $6. The seller would receive 50% of the sale, $2.50. To be fair, it is true that on eBay, Beckett, and Sport Lots, you can reduce the shipping if you buy multiple items from the same dealer and get combined shipping. But that assumes you want to buy multiple items from the same dealer, and you must buy them all at one time. You can see overall it's clearly the best option for the buyer, COMC that is, and it's very competitive for the seller. And remember, there's no work involved for the seller. The other three all require you to do all those selling steps. So that brings us to flipping. I didn't do much flipping on COMC until recently, as it's generally not a major part of my overall strategy, but 2020 has just provided so many opportunities for it that I've been doing quite a bit of it the last 6 months or so. When you buy a card on COMC, you can choose to flip it. All this means is you're essentially relisting it immediately for a higher price. If you were to buy a card on eBay for, let's say, $5 with the goal of reselling it for a profit at $10, you essentially can't do this because shipping costs, sales tax, and seller fees, that kills your profit right there. Not to mention the fact that you have to wait for the card to arrive in the mail, and then you have to spend some time to get it relisted. That adds complications. But on COMC, everything is instant, and fees for flipping are so minimal that they almost don't matter. I'll buy another one of these Juan Soto Bowmans, but this time I'll flip it. And not that this is a good example of a card you'd want to flip, but just to show you the process. I can buy this one here for $1.99, but instead of choosing purchase now, I'm going to purchase and relist. I set the new price, let's say $6, and I click purchase and relist. Done. I have now purchased the card for $1.99, and it is already available for sale for $6 on COMC. If it eventually sells for $6, there's no 50-cent upfront fee, no additional shipping fees, so I will only pay the 5% sale fee of 30 cents. Timing can be extremely important with flipping, especially if a player just had a great game or reached some unexpected milestone, so it happening in real time is critical. Also, the seller cannot choose to back out of the sale. That's not an option here. Whereas if you've ever bought a card on eBay or Beckett for a great deal, occasionally the seller will, clearly just want to back out and just claim it's no longer available or something like that. And there's nothing you can do about it except leave feedback. Here's some examples of cards I've flipped recently. Quite a lot of soccer, as soccer was just skyrocketing for a while there. I bought this Kareem Benzema Wave Prism for $8.25 on August 13th. Sold it a day later for $25. I bought this Johnny Bench 1970 Top Super for $7.20 in April. Sold it 2 months later for $18. And I bought this Thomas Mueller Blue Prism on August 13th for $6.55. Sold it just 4 days later for $75. That was timed around the Champions League finals run of Bayern Munich. Getting into flipping strategies would need to be a video all its own, as it takes quite a while to get good at it. You won't be able to just sit down on day one and flip a bunch of cards for a bunch of money. It takes quite a while to sort of develop an effective strategy. But there is money to be made if you can identify cards that are undervalued, or if you can identify players who are likely to rise in value in the short term or the medium term. The final thing I'll mention is a negative that needs to be mentioned. COMC is experiencing pretty heavy delays at the moment. This applies to when you send them your cards, them getting them entered into the system, but it applies more to when you request your cards to be shipped back to you. The wait time is extremely long at the moment, multiple months for the more affordable shipping options. All right, that's it. This video definitely went a little long, but I hope everyone found it helpful. As always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I will answer them as best I can. Thanks, guys.